so for today, you're going to want your manila folder, which was in your bag of goodies. You're also going to need your ruler and a pencil. I'm hoping this pencil will show up underneath the dot camera. It's a 0.9, so you can have any pencil you need. Doesn't matter, I just make sure it's sharpened. So the last couple days we've been working on measuring, and in particular accuracy and precision. So need to measure several different times before drawing lines. We would rather have it be accurate and precise, because if we're talking career, it could end up being a costly mistake, and we got to get in the habit of doing things correctly when we're young. So when we're talking about this skimmer, you're going to later be building it, and it should end up looking something like this. These different drawings for the blueprint are why you had the isometric, the multi-view of the blocks, so you can read something like that. Today, all we're going to work on is coloring, if you want, and measuring and drawing out the fin, air scoop, and main body. After reading your discussion posts from yesterday, it seemed that most people were the most comfortable with the English or customary system. We know life's hard enough right now with remote learning, so just decided to keep it simple and use the customary system. So if we're talking about our manila folder, we're gonna start with the main body. Well, I'm gonna open it up, and this is gonna have to be 11 inches long. Well, I need to use my length of my manila folder. One thing I did notice when I did several different takes of this is that not all manila folders are created the same, meaning the same width, and I should say same width, like same little corners. So you might need to adjust yours. So if we're looking at our main body, what we're gonna end up doing is figuring out this 4 wide. Well, if I'm looking at my 4 wide, I wanna use what's called a factory edge, where this is where a machine has probably cut it, where there's less human error. So I'm going to use a human or a factory edge. I don't want to use this one because it's a little bit higher than the other one, so I'll end up running out of room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the crease as a help, and I want to create almost like a box to help me. And so if this is my manila folder, and I know I need to have 4, so I need to end up drawing this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by measuring how, for me, if I'm using this factory edge, if I'm using this, it looks for me like it is 8.5 inches. So for me, this is 8.5 from here to here. Well, I need to draw and figure out my width of 4. Well, if it's 8.5 from here to here, this is 4. 8.5 minus 4 is 4.5. So what I'm going to end up doing is marking where 4.5 is and where 8.5 is. So if I'm looking on here, I'm going to use my factory edge again. So I'm going to mark where 4.5 is, make a line, and then 8.5. And later we're going to end up connecting these. You're going to need to do several of these. I would say probably 6 to 8 at least of each of these. So again, I'm going to mark, because you're going to connect the lines. 4.5 and 8.5. So as you can see, I've got several different marks. I've got, looks like 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got 10 of each line. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially connect my dots. And so this is one where you definitely need to make sure that when you connect the lines or your little dots, that your ruler goes through all of them. And you're going to want to make sure that you double, maybe even triple check it, so you only have to draw it once. So just to double check it, I can see, excuse me, that this is at 4, so I'm good. And I know that it's got to be 11 long, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, I've got this, again, mark it at 11. I'm going to later connect my lines. I would do at least 4 or 5 little lines measuring. Making sure these are all going through all the lines. Looks like I didn't quite do that corner. So right now, mine is, this is 4 by 11. And you can see it right there. So 4 by 11. So I've got that done. So now I need to work on this 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna start down here and I need to measure in 1/2 inch on each side. And it looks like it needs to be 3 inches long. So I'm gonna measure in my 3 inch first. Maybe that might be easier. Again, I would do at least 3 or 4 marks. And you can see that this is dotted because that's later going to be folded. So I'm going to make sure that that's dotted. Making sure those lines all line up. And now I need to measure in my 1/2 inch right here, my 1/2 inch. So we're going to start on one side, measure in 1/2 inch, mark a line. And that needs to be a solid line. So again, make sure your lines all match up. We don't need that. All right, and then again, I need to do 1/2 inch. And later I'm going to connect these. Just in case it's off. This way the line is going straight through it. All right, so what I'm looking at right now is this. And so this right here is where we've got our solid line right here. And then this is where we're gonna later fold. Later you're gonna end up cutting that. So I've just done this section. Now I need to finish off right here. So all of this one should be on the easier side, kind of like what we did before, where I'm just gonna mark 1/2 inch on each side. And remember, the dotted lines mean that we're folding it. Okay, so I got this is gonna be our folded later tomorrow. So I'm gonna make sure my lines are lined up, and then I'm gonna make them and do the same thing for my other. So I've got my 1/2 inch on each side, my 3 inches. Got all of these set up. So right now this should look like this.